We have two entries today in the Vichy category. You'll recall how adamant Joe Scarborough was. It's one thing if you vote for Donald Trump in 2016. Okay. It's another if you vote in 2020. But if you vote in 2024, there's no middle ground, says Joe Scarborough all the way back, I guess 6 months ago in April of 2024. Let's play this clip number 4.
She gets sick and tired of me trying to understand other people and being so pragmatic and trying to be like, I'm okay, you're okay. Now, where can we meet in the middle? La, la, la. On this question, we're past that. You can't meet. If they voted for Trump in 16, whatever. They voted for Trump in 20, they knew exactly what they were doing. If they vote for Donald Trump in 2024, and I've said it on my show, I'll say it here, they're knowingly voting for a fascist. They're voting for a racist. They're voting for somebody that wants to put this country 200 years in the back. And so I'm not trying to figure them out. I'm trying to figure out how we get people out who love democracy, who love freedom, who love the rights of all Americans, how to get them to the voting booth, because that's how we save our country.
Okay.
Rousing.
That is very inspirational. This is a guy who is going to fight until the very last. Well, not till the absolute end. I mean, he's going to fight, and maybe not until, this is a guy who's going to fight to the end of the first quarter, maybe halfway through the first quarter. In fact, here is Joe Scarborough yesterday, completely outraged at the how people could be so close-minded. And it's obviously something that's just happening on social media. This is fascinating.
Oh, and I will say also, I just want to say thank you, first of all, to everybody who was so kind last night, but also thank you. Willie, yesterday I saw for the first time what a massive disconnect there was between social media and the real world, because we were flooded with phone calls from people all day, literally around the world. Very positive, very supportive.
All right, I'm sorry. The real world. The real world that he lives in.
People that watch us and call our network.
Right. The real world where he said Biden should ignore the fact that he's sub 40% approval rating, doesn't matter, and he's 81, and a majority of the public, including 80% of the base, says he should step aside for a new, fresh voice. They said that before the debate. They said that after the debate. They said the economy was doing well, and everyone believes it, and don't ignore the fact that people don't necessarily say their experience matches with these top line numbers. They were also insisting that the Never Trump movement, with bringing in all these Republicans into the party, was the thing that was going to save the party, and that focusing on democracy was the way to go. That's the real world that he lives in, aka the not real world. You have it reversed, you dummy. All the people that are calling you and saying how great it is that you went down and broke bread with a guy that you had previously said it's fair to call him Hitler. That's not the people on social media. That's the real world. You're in the bubble. Crazy.
And let's be clear here. One of the reasons why we're singling out Joe Scarborough is that it was reported multiple times that Joe Biden listened to Joe Scarborough's show every morning, and it was basically his North Star. Yep. And so you can watch Joe Scarborough go out and give this adamant, you are out of your mind if you are voting for Donald Trump. And understand, this guy is the least sincere, most duplicitous, completely, this is just about proximity to power for him, period. End of story. And the idea that they're going to make this about journalism or whatnot, there was no interview that came out of that. You want to go down there and have a hostile interview with Donald Trump, or even a fawning one that we can see. But This is not thwarting the value of journalism for them to go down there and have access. And I also don't even buy the idea that they were afraid of being audited. You know what? I'm afraid of being audited. And I can assure you that I do not have the assets that Joe Scarborough does in which to deal with an audit. But it is a reality in this era. And this is about kissing up to power and then pretending. You want to talk about offline? Be like 2 days ago, they were probably saying, like, we need our own Joe Rogan. And now all of a sudden social media is a problem. But continue on with this. This is just fascinating. And all of those lackeys sitting around that table are just as culpable at this because they're sucking up to Joe Scarborough's power.
Because we were flooded with phone calls from people all day, literally around the world. Very positive, very supportive, going, I understand what you do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But once in a while, I would get a text or a call from someone and go, oh man, I hope you're doing okay. And I call him back and I go, well, Eddie Glaude was one of them. I go, Eddie, are you on Twitter? And he goes, I am. I go, okay, well, I'm not. So we've had a good day. Mika just had a wonderful event. It is fantastic.
Fantastic.
We're going to do all of us are going to do the best we can do, and we're all working towards a better.
I have absolutely no doubt that he is telling the truth. I am sure that he had a great day. I'm sure that almost every day is a great day for him.
A beautiful event.
I'm sure that if he puts his fingers in his ears and just keeps his eyes on the prize, that is proximity to power, maintaining their job, I'm sure everything will be fine for them. And, I have respect for Eddie Glaude. I will say, I mean, this is, then I suppose it's one thing to be sort of nice. Like, are you dealing with this blowback? I'm not even aware of it. I'm dealing with it so well that I don't even care. It's completely irrelevant. It is so irrelevant to me that actually Mika and I had a wonderful day. We went shopping. We had a nice time at the whatever it was. We went to, I don't know, Hermes or what, I don't know. Where do people go?
They were in Palm Beach I think, is Mar-a-Lago in West Palm? That's probably such an insecurity for Trump. I don't really know. But long story short, they are so pathetic. And this is the second segment they've done on this stupid meeting with Donald Trump where they're focused on like, oh, we're okay. It's incredible how they've just, this entire ecosystem is about like, they haven't gotten over how they were caught being all chummy with Trump prior to 2016. You remember all that scandal and how that was all recorded? And they've been living in that reality of like being aggressive against him on their own terms. But now they're insecure about the fact that they went too hard. And so they want to go back to pre-2016 levels. It's like, this is all about your career and you're somehow making it about the country.
And, there are, I don't know how many people who watch this program, watch MSNBC. Our demos are very, very different, I can assure you. I'm sure there are some, but, I know what the average age is of people who watch MSNBC. And I know what the average age of people who watch here are. And I know where the cohorts, how big the cohorts are. But it's worth it if you are an MSNBC viewer to write into MSNBC because there is value, I think, in MSNBC jettisoning some of these Republicans who are really not helpful to anything. Now, look, I don't think MSNBC brass thinks they have a strong ideological bent one way or another, but it's usually just like, where's the power at? Scarborough's ratings, if you were to check them, and I haven't checked them in ages, but his ratings aren't particularly good, but they do well in the Washington Beltway. This is the way that Washington talks to itself. And so for them, it's really about, advertising and it's sort of like a lost leader type of situation, but it's worth criticizing it and criticizing everybody on there.
And I said this yesterday when we covered this, but there's no show, as you were alluding to, that's more to blame for the situation we're in than this. I mean, maybe the Joe Rogan Experience for normalizing Trump in the way that they did right before the election. But like, these guys were talking about how he's a threat to democracy, which is something that you and I earnestly believe. But when they go down and kiss the onion ring, as Matt referred to it yesterday regarding RFK, which was amazing, like they undercut that narrative immediately. And that's the thing that I just couldn't stand about, you know, even the whole Biden ecosystem, which includes Morning Joe because it's his favorite show, is that you can't make the legitimate case that democracy is on the ballot and that he's this existential threat when also acting in the way that they do. Or then when also acting in the way that Biden did, chummy with him at the White House. I care less about that and more about the fact that people, if it was so urgent, everyone was like, why are they putting up this feeble guy that I haven't heard from in 3 years up for re-election again? There was they couldn't communicate Trump's threat because the messenger left this leadership vacuum. And then you had media just completely covering it up for this period of time.
I think Joe
made it less
Scarborough
urgent.
Does appreciate that Trump is a threat to democracy. I think that's why he ran down there so quickly, because he just wants to be on the other side. He's like, democracy is gone. I'm going to be on the side of the fascists because that's the safer place to be. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, so the subtext of everything he's doing is consistent with that message. It's just that he's decided, I'm going to be on the other side. That's right. It. Like democracy's gone, and it's safer to be with the fascists.
So it would behoove future Democrats to kind of maybe ice out these freaks, because honestly, they're horrible messengers for what they're trying to do in terms of winning. And for all the talk about, like, we need a Joe Rogan on the left, there was a great write-up, and I forget who did it, about Hassan and someone, that the reporter is escaping me, but about how there is a new left media. It's just Democrats mostly ignore it and maybe go on some of those shows instead of speaking to like an audience of one. It's like it's Biden's Fox and Friends.
Well, the thing that comes up immediately is like, well, the problem with the Hassans or the majority reports is they're too critical of Democrats. And first of all, the right-wing media got that way because it was massively critical of Republicans. And so it's receptivity of the party to that criticism. But also, like 2020, I think maybe the media helped Democrats. The Democrats benefited from the Floyd protests because they were able to, frankly, co-opt them in a way that they weren't willing to do with Palestine. So they rejected it. And so how can you have a media that's like, Hassan's not, like, what was our position? Like, yes, it's better if the Democrats win, but also like stop harassing Chapel Roan because she has some reservations about giving a full endorsement to an administration that won't change course on Gaza.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the answer is for them to come on shows like this necessarily, but it's the idea that social media is not a place to go. I don't think they should have been afraid of going on Rogan's show because I just don't think that these people, when you assess their intelligence and the strength of their arguments, it is sometimes hard to see that they're there with people who are just completely nodding in agreement. And I have been in the rooms with these people. I have talked to these people, and they know nothing. They know nothing.
Wow.
Tim Pool didn't have the ability to support positions that he's been espousing for years.
Yeah, as well.
For years.
All she had to do was go on Rogan and say she supports full legalization of marijuana, which she outflanked Trump on.
Yeah. And talk about her celebrity pals. Rogan would love that.
I mean,
or any of the other stuff that they were proposing. Like, they didn't go to the places that they needed to go. And even in popular podcasts like Call Her Daddy, that was about abortion rights mostly, right?
I mean, it worked out, and there should have been. You should go on there. The idea that they're now Jennifer Palmieri, like a four-time loser now, is arguing that because they were intimidated by staffers. Grow up.
Sure,
that's first off, grow up. But second off, that's a lie.
It's a lie. Yeah,
that's a lie.
That was the only thing the staffers wanted to put forward is, hey, never mind about having a Palestinian speak at the DNC. Just don't go on Rogan.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
They're such liars. All that staff was a great majority. I don't have figures about this, but I'm sure 90% of the staff that they had built out were already people that had signed up to reelect Joe Biden because it was a campaign for her that was 107 days old. So I have a hard time believing that the people that were okay with the genocide are then going to be like so mad about her going on Rogan. All these left-wing staffers. The campaign was Biden's campaign that she took over, so it had all of the same people that were of Biden's political persuasion already there. It's such a ridiculous, and it's not the reason she lost either. But it is just like another CYA.
No, I don't think it is. But lastly, let's just cap off this segment about Joe Scarborough. When this is number 5, when Nikki Haley says that you have absolutely no spine and you're a capitulator. Can we put this up?
It's just a tweet, yeah.
It's just a tweet. Number 5.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, here it is.
Joe and Mika, go ahead.
Yeah, Nikki Haley is up there going, let's be clear, Joe and Mika didn't suddenly see the light. They saw their ratings. They realized they needed Trump for their survival.
Hey, that's you, Nikki.
God. I mean, yeah.
Nikki's now pretending that she didn't want a cabinet pick or whatever. She's saying, I withdrew my name from consideration. She wanted so desperately for Trump to include her in her campaign conversations because they were genuinely worried about the female vote. And it turns out he won a majority of white women again. But Haley was trying to sound the alarm, and she said publicly that he had shut her out since June and they hadn't spoken. So she was already trying to suck up to power in the same way Scarborough is. They're the exact same person.
I think the kids would say game respects a game. Wouldn't that basically be a description of that? Where she understands exactly what they're going through. Oh, did Palmieri recant that Rogan story on Twitter? Oh, good. I
think she came back and was like, "Oh, sorry, I may have jumped the gun on this. It might have been a scheduling problem or something like that.
I might have just sort of elaborated one of my pre-existing beliefs instead of like the actual fact of the matter. I apologize after getting pushback."
So sorry.
Eric Adams, travel agent. What happened to Biden's national rent control that he rolled out days before dropping out? She included that on her issues page, as far as I know. My understanding is that she also supported that. They did not run on those things. They didn't run on any of it. I mean, they were there. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.